slides that we already we'll send it later, but our aim now is to continue the principles together. As you see now, we will be handling the second session, and the best we can do is to start by recapping the first session to ensure that we are able to retrieve back all the steps that we already have done the first time. So for recapping, as Dr. Ahmed Higazi said, we decided, to have an acronym is called the bridges that will help us to move from where we stand to where we want to go, so we can apply it in any type of business. And this will be much clearer in the solid examples that will bring it to you today. So for the bridges, last time we already spent enough time with the foundation step, which is beginning with the macro and the micro environmental analysis, which give us the opportunity to discover and explore all the details and the information that will be used later on, to prepare our business plan and to continue the different steps. So the second step is refine the critical success factor. I'm retrieving back all the steps, and then we'll have summary for what we have done first time. Initiate a mission, and then develop objectives, generate strategies, engage it with tactics, set metrics and KPIs. So if you would like to highlight what we have done or we learned with the macro and the micro environmental, we have the acronym for the macro environmental. It's called the PISTL. PISTL stands for the B for political, E for economic, S for social, and T for technological, E for environmental, and L for legal. And recently they already have added one more E to make it PISTL, and the additional E stands for the ethics. So you can't seek or discuss or overview all the details without guarantee the ethical approach in every step you analyze. If we move from macro to micro environmental, which is SWOT. SWOT is S for strengths and V for weaknesses, O for opportunities, and T for threats. This is, the chart that we can use and apply, which have the four quadrants. The first part is for internal. We always will look for the positive versus the negative. So we look for the strengths versus the weaknesses, and we have the same approach for the external factor for opportunities and threats. Of course, if I read a question, which is more controllable, the internal factors or external factors, I guess everybody will agree with me that, of course, internal factor. This is the factor that we can control inside the company or the organization that we work in. So now we have different solid examples. The first one is for a pharmaceutical company. This is, I will leave it to you as a reference, but we will move to the next one. It's the SWOT for the private pharmacy. We will have, sometimes for each quadrant for this internal factor, for instance, we have a sample. But if you go to the reality, you can go and do the brainstorming, bring your team, start discussing all the steps. What are the things from your point of view, from the feedback that they have been, seeing from dealing with the customer or from performing the operation. On the other hand, you can ask for the weaknesses. We'll take the example, for instance, if we speak about the strengths for the private pharmacy, we can say a unique central location of the pharmacy, experienced staff or pharmacists, good reputation, excellent customer networking. Working staff are highly trained and customer-centric. They know how to handle the customer very well. Great patient care services. This is what we call it a value-added service, not only dispensing medicine, but they also, I mean, they provide counseling, providing the patient care service. They provide on-the-spot answers to any inquiry that might came in to the customer mind. Yeah. Automated pharmacy management system, dealing with a multiple well-known distributor. That means they can bring the medicine and they can purchase it from everywhere they can reach. That means that the pharmacy will have plenty of the drugs. All the diversified needs will be covered through the availability of all products. Okay. If we look to the weaknesses, limited services line, the farm could be applied here for a private pharmacy or private chain pharmacies. It depends on the situation that you will be in. Unequipped lab, delayed delivery time for remote areas, weak interpersonal skills for assisting staff, lack of work experience and job knowledge for newly joined staff. Lack of marketing campaigns. Dr. Ahmed برضه يعني you can share with me, Dr. Mohammed Salama, that this is a sample of the weaknesses, but in reality, as I promised last time, if each one of us decided to implement what they are learning now, which will be a great idea, because as we said last time, what you don't use, you will lose. So the idea is to have it applied, and I'm offering that I will be sharing with you, with Dr. Salama and Dr. Hijazi, any initiative, and will be back with my feedback to make sure that you have got the skills, you applied it, and then you can say, now I'm having something different. Now I'm having a competitive edge than anybody else who didn't attend this session. Yeah, that's for the internal factor. If we zoom in for the external factors, I mean, for the opportunities, the constant growth of the number of people taking medication, the increase the level of awareness makes people now are ready to take medications. That's why even sometimes the Ministry of Health makes campaigns to increase the awareness, asking people to go and receive unpaid service for diagnosing the comorbid disease, for instance. The idea here is to make people aware that they already have a problem and there are serious problems they have to attend and ask for the physician support and go and have the medication if they are suffering from any disease. Newly formed alliances of insurance companies. Now it's a growing idea, insurance company. I mean, in a medical insurance company, there are a lot of companies who starts, I mean, serving certain group of patients here. Organization and the technology development. Now, there is a room for growing development for this area. Improve safety system. Telemedicine for specialty. It's very common for most of the pharmacies now offer the telemedicine. Increasing networking, evolving government national health campaigns against epidemic and comorbid disease. These are the opportunities that are outside the organization, and we will learn later how to, I mean, to get the advantage of these opportunities plus your strengths to overcome and the weaknesses, and at the same time to avoid the threats that might happen here. For the threats, as a sample, we may say or raise the economy slowdown, increased frequency of lockdowns due to increase the COVID-19 infections and diagnosis rates. It happens many times when the infection rate increases in a way that wouldn't be controllable. Many countries they offer the lockdown to minimize the rate. Changes in the insurance policies and rules. There are a certain level of the coverage. I mean, they might cover some diseases. They offer the unpaid support with different ratios. Imposing new government rules for healthcare practices, like drug registration and the price decrease sometimes, yeah. So this is a sample, but if I go to reality, you will bring your staff and then make what we call it a brainstorming session, having the flip chart, and then start asking people, let us think about what we are doing since 5, 6 years, 10 years. Let's start by remembering or retrieving back what are our strengths, and then list it as many as you can. And a piece of advice, if you go and ask people for a brainstorming sessions, stop critiquing anything. You just encourage and inspire them to come up with their ideas, and then list as many as you can, and then you will go back. I mean the filtering this later on. But if you start filtering while they are raising their opinion, it might limit, I mean, the opportunity to get every possible strength. And then once you finish this, you have the idea for brainstorming session. Either you have different groups, and then you give, for instance, 4 groups. Group will work on strengths, and another one will work on weaknesses, third one on opportunities, and the fourth one on threats. But before we ask them or invite them for this session, you need, I mean, to give them a brief definition for each one of them, and highlighting. We will speak about the internal and external. And the internal, this is what I mean, related to our organization. For internal, there are positive things that helps and I mean facilitate our work, and there are negative things that hindering our performance. And if we leave our organization and go to outside, where we meet our customers, facing the market challenges, so you might ask them, we have opportunities that are offered to us, I mean, as well as other organizations that works similar to us. On the other hand, then there are threats that might affect our business. And then once you give them a clear definition, then you can give them a timeline, and then spend one day asking for the 4 quadrants. And once you have it, take the summary for all, for everybody, I mean the 4 groups, and then make a checklist or final list for each one of them. And then that's could be the very good step. And then later on, you can make another meeting to ask them, let's have which is more potential, which is more influencing to our organization from these strengths. And then you pick the most effective, the most contributing, the most influencing our performance, and we'll do the same for the weaknesses and so on for the opportunities and threats. And then you will have what really matters in every quadrant. This will make you able, I mean, to further explore the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for your organization. That I hope what you are saying is clear enough, and whoever will have the challenge to do it and need our support for anything I already raised it, please let us know. Even if you think about the brainstorming, I can provide you with some tips that help you to make a very successful brainstorming sessions. So in that case, we will be happy to support and make your job easier. Yeah. So another example, for the first example, is there any questions related to the private pharmacy so far? I'm seeing Dr. Ahmed on the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any question?
No, it was just a comment about the courses. No, nothing specific for this now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So great. So that was a solid example for the private pharmacy. So if we move to the government pharmacy, I mean the pharmacy that operating within the governmental or Ministry of Health. So the governmental hospitals. So I'm giving a sample as well for strengths, stable career, availability of all types of drugs, low turnover rate, a new or innovative service, cost advantage as it offers, the drugs, with special rates sometimes, cultural connections, we experienced stuff. That's these are samples of some strengths that we might find in a government pharmacy. How about the weaknesses? Few of the staff have had poor communication skills, especially those who working, behind the curtain, on the stores. They don't have opportunity to work with people. So due to which they were unable to talk to patients and solve their problems and concerns effectively. This might happen if you do what we call it restructuring or reallocation or rotation. Sometimes you move people from the stores to the dispensing area to inpatient pharmacy. And so once you do this, you have to consider that those who are not capable to deal with patients and do not have enough communication skills, before you put them in this situation, you have to consider that it's an area for development. Then you prepare a program to teach them some tips or some effective communication skills, so they will be ready, to work effectively in the new position. Limited patient care services, weak interpersonal skills for assisting staff, lack of work experience and job knowledge for newly joined staff. Sometimes we hire new staff and we do not offer them opportunity to have what we call it induction training, a preparation for the job in terms of job knowledge, job skills that are needed to practice successfully their role. So in that case, it's an area for development. Lack of work experience, as I said, unsatisfactory drug management system, lack of continuous learning and development. Sometimes they might have the initial training or the opportunity to have a preceptorship with the experienced staff, but they don't have the opportunity for the continuous learning and development. And in this case, I would love to refer to the Cinfa Academy for its program, because it's one of the supportive program that will complement what you are receiving from your organization with additional diversified capabilities. So will make you better applying your job roles and activities. Yeah. Lack of marketing campaigns. As we know, sometimes we said, as we are working in the government, people will attend as they are contracting the government pharmacy, but at the same time, we do not offer them enough patient leaflet campaign, patient counseling leaflet, and so on, marketing campaigns about the service and the way you support people as well. Lack of business planning skills, and this one of the program that I consider it value-added program from Cinfa Academy for an Institution. Yeah. Before we move to the opportunity and threat, I have a question. Do you feel you have a similar strengths and weaknesses in your area of responsibility, or you have something extremely different?
It's a good question, Dr. Samir. So guys, please share through the chat or ask for talking. We'll give you the permission to talk. So Dr. Alwar is here and you can unmute and talk. Dr. Alwar?
I guess you wrote it on in chat.
Yeah, probably something. Okay. Anyone else would like to ask or have a comment on this? About what is going on in your real life? Such examples, something you would like to share? From until we have any comments, I believe in the examples that you gave, Dr. Samir, that someone who is most of his time is working on the back, as not communicating well with people, and then moved to deal directly with patients, interact with them, handle their queries and their questions, and solve their problems and issues. I believe this is something that a real life situations that are really available. Yeah.
Yeah. So you agree that we are, raising sample of examples, that near to the reality. So if we move, from strengths, weaknesses to opportunities, increase country support for health insurance coverage. Now it's everywhere. They increase the umbrella coverage for different types or certain of people, organization and technology development, government national health campaigns against epidemic everywhere. And the typical example is the COVID-19, availability of new technology, e-commerce, for instance, now is much growing, changes in population profile or need. Samples for the threats, economy slowdowns again, increased frequency of lockdown due to increase in COVID-19 infection or diagnosed rates, changes in drug registration rules, imposing new government rules for healthcare practices, such as drug registration or price decrease, adverse changes in reimbursement or regulations, and shifts in market demand. These are the samples of what could be the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in a government pharmacy. That slide is very important when you bring a lot of the outcomes, how you manage the relationship between the outcomes. Then we'll take it for instance. You remember when we said internally, we focus on 3 Ps: product, people, and program. And for external, we remember we already raised highlighted the climate or the market, customers, and the 3 Cs again, competition. For the product, we said percent of achievement of the product, percent of growth. For the people, the size on board and the percent of turnover rate. For the program, which program produces high return on investment. For instance, if you have 2, 3, 4 programs, and then you will check back which of which is producing high return on investment. For climate, you look for the market size, market growth, and therapeutic area. And for customers, who prescribes what? Per specialty. For competition, leading competitor per therapeutic area. Then, the very important is, if we look to the product and link it to the market, of course, you will look which market share you aim to achieve and the percent of evolution index. For the people and the customer that will be visited by them, then we look to percent of coverage and percent of frequency of visits. For the product and the competitor, we'll see the market share and evolution index and percent of growth to compare yourself among other leading products. Yeah. For the program and the customer, you look for which program brought highest return on investment and which percent of investment could be more profitable to the company. By having this summary, and we already have done all the details related to the first P, the macro and the micro environmental, and then we go to how to find out the critical success factor. So we refine the critical success factor. It's result from the internal, external analysis, understanding, and selection of key issues, like filtering all the information you have got, and then you see what really matters for you to work on them to prepare your plan for the future success. That's why we call it critical success factor. Conduct field force analysis to help pinpoint each analysis. You can do it, and on the other hand, you can help them having a clear brainstorming session to get this analysis very clear, close to reality. Use the information from the external and internal analysis to help pinpoint a specific critical success factor. Looking to the these factors, look for the specific driving and resisting forces to make sure you are able to identify which has more influence on the success of the company or the organization. So that's SWOT analysis that will take you to define the critical success factor. So while we are getting the critical success factor, caution and tips, you can't respond to every risk or opportunity. We'll focus only on high impact critical success factor. So we'll see after listing all the factors which will have the high impact, and then we will consider it top priority for us. Then we move to the same exercise. We said a solid sample for the private pharmacy. These were the samples that we already, projected to you. And then I made in red color the areas for development or the critical success factor. For instance, I took from the weaknesses here, delayed delivery time for remote areas, weak interpersonal skills for assisting staff, lack of working experience and job knowledge for newly joined staff, lack of marketing campaign. These are the 3 elements or the 4 elements that are considered areas for development, and one from the opportunities, which is evolving the government national health campaign against epidemic and comorbid disease. So we move to list this again, other samples for the the government pharmacy, and we put the in a red color. Few of the staff who are working on the back, who do not have enough communication skills, and they were not used to deal with the patients. And then weak interpersonal skills for assisting staff, lack of working experience and job knowledge, lack of continuous learning and development, lack of marketing campaign, lack of business planning skills. And we took example from opportunities evolving government national as the company, or I mean the government is really working in this area, wants to help, wants to support. So we will see how can we take this opportunity and get aligned with these campaigns and get benefit from it as well. So before we're having, so we already marked with red color, I mean, the critical success factor. And then we go to the initiate a mission. The mission is usually very important when you go to the level of a company, a big company, who is looking forward for 3, 4, 5 years, where we would like to be after 5 years, for instance. So it's the broad what to be accomplished with a longer term, yeah, or in a longer term. Very important to have. This is another acronym, MOST. So it stands for what? Stands for having mission, objective, M for mission, O for objectives, S for strategies. How about T is for tactics? So it's clustering. So for our case, once you remember the acronym, then you can retrieve back each step later on. So following the structured steps, I mean, begin with macro environmental, and then refine the critical success factor, initiate the mission, and then we develop the objectives. Very important, I mean, to think about the objectives. And once you develop the objectives, remember it should be always smart. It's a typical what you want to achieve. What do you think? This is very important thing, Diana. For instance, when we said smart, Dr. Ahmed, what do you think about the importance of having a smart objectives?
Number one, its name is smart, so
Yeah.
it gives the impression that you are doing something right.
Yeah.
And the details of each letter, so I will keep the letters in my mind, and I will see that it's something that I can do it. As you mentioned, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and always I remember the T, which is time linked. If there's no time, it will stay forever. Will not do it.
Exactly, and sometimes you said people, they are not in favor of having the smart objectives, because once they arrive to the T, they feel they are more accountable, that they will say what you will do later on. But if we don't have T, then what could be done in 1 quarter couldn't be done over the full year. So it's something that everyone should pay attention to its importance. Yeah. So
I believe. Sorry, Doctor. I believe the key word for this is a commitment.
Yeah.
If I am committed, I will do it on time. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why we'll see some quotes very important to, and we'll confirm what Dr. Ahmed Agazi said exactly. Yeah. Here's an example of an objective for a company plan. He said, sell, very definite. We said we need to apply the smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. For instance, we might say selling 20% more of our antihypertensive than last time. last year. So specific here is antihypertensive. And measurable here is 20% more than the last time. It's simple and measurable. For instance, sales this year are 100,000 units, and we wanted to sell sales to be 120,000 next year. So each objective will start with a verb such as increase, deliver, sell, obtain, find, decrease, speed up. But this is, you start by the a verb, but you have to put the other, parts of the SMART. You said the SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So once again, the acronym is SMART. Now it's recently updated to be, let's do it smarter. So they have added, instead of SMART, but you have also to add E and R, which is evaluated and reported. Evaluated to see or to to monitor the level of progress, and at the same and the level of positive and negative deviation. At the same time, reported to have a reference to look at it frequently. So to confirm what Dr. Ahmed said, a goal properly set is halfway reached. Abraham Lincoln, this is very important because you might exert some effort to set a smart or a smarter objective, but bear in your mind, once you make it clear with concrete example, then this will be, the yardstick for your, future success. Management by objectives works. That's Peter Drucker, huh? But if you know the objectives, he said at the same time, 90% of the time, we don't know the objective. So it's, again, you can't work without objective, and you can't reach objectives without having clear critical success factor. That needs to also have, very clear SWOT analysis to get all the possible information that could help you, to define the unmet gaps. Obstacles are things a person sees when he takes his eyes off his goal. So if you set the goal, then you work, toward this goal over the year, and on a regular basis, you look to the level of success, level of deviation, positive or negative, towards this goal to make sure that you are applying something that will help you, achieve the final goal or the end year goal. So that's again the typical example of SWOT that will filter it to have the critical success factors, and from critical success factors will put the objectives. That is again to remind you, sample of the red lines, we consider it, the critical success factor for the private pharmacy sample. Then we'll take out this critical success factor to put it here. And then we consolidate and grouping the related issue to each other. For instance, we said weak interpersonal skills for assisting staff and lack of work experience and job knowledge for newly joined staff. That two unmet needs could be, handled by one objective, creating a career development curriculum that will fulfill unmet gaps that have been seen in SWOT analysis, and this, will be created through or at end of Q2 2022. Another example, declining sales achievement. And then you think about the objective, creating what would be, creating a marketing campaign that will boost the sales volume and increasing customer base, reaching different customer specialty, discovering which level of coverage and the frequency we are currently achieving, and how can we increase this level of coverage and frequency. This marketing campaign would be initiated by the Q3 2022. So as you see, from SWOT analysis, we already took out, or we defined and took out the critical success factor. We listed them. We will work on the most impactful ones, and then each one will said what could be the objective that will solve this problem. And these are two types of objectives that we can set for some critical success factor. If we move to the same example for the government pharmacy, these are this is the sample that we already overviewed to you. And once again, the red lines represent the weaknesses and the opportunities. And if we take it into the bigger slide, then we see here some unmet gaps could be handled by one objective. For instance, if you of staff have those who are working on the back and do not have enough communication skills, and based on that they are not able to communicate. Sometimes we discover this at the restructuring or with job rotation, but very important, sometimes we do it suddenly. If there is a shortage on the number of staff, sometimes you might assign someone from the back to have the night shift or to replace someone else. But make sure before you do this step that they are capable to do it. This is the meaning of empowering people. Don't assign someone to do something before making sure he's already capable and can do it, to make sure that his mission will be successful. Weak interpersonal skills for the assisting staff, lack of work experience and job knowledge, and lack of continuous learning and development, lack of business planning skills, for instance. And we take this, I would say, 5 unmet gaps. We put one objective clear, creating a career development curriculum that will have, initial and advanced training, covering the different quality of staff, pharmacists, and we do the same for the assisting staff, and that will fulfill the unmet gaps that are listed on the left side. That's typical. If there is any question now, is the methodology clear to all of us or not? Dr. Ahmed? Question is it clear to everybody? Because I'm relying on you when you go back from, I would say, from the workshop to the workplace, then you will do your exercise. So it's very important to have a clear mindset about this. So again, to make sure that everything is clear from SWOT, we take out what really matters from the critical success factor. Or sometimes we call it key business driver or unmet gaps. And then we take the unmet gaps that in favor of developing new steps or new capabilities. And then we take these gaps or critical success factors and we put the objective that will help solve these gaps and so on. So back to our steps is, as we said, beginning with macro and the micro, refine critical success factor, initiate a mission, develop objectives, and now we reach to once you develop objective, is what you really need to accomplish or to achieve. So it's what? So strategies is how to do what you already need to accomplish it. So again, the big headline for objective is what you look for to be accomplished. For the strategies, it's how you will work out the objectives to make sure that will be accomplished. So for the strategies, so again, strategy is how the company will sell the product and which approach will use. You decide how to work it out, which approach you will use to accomplish this objective. A strategy define how you are planning to achieve your long-term goals and objectives, gives you the path you need toward achieving your organization objectives and mission. What makes a good strategy better? That's very important. Once you decide to generate strategy, a solid strategy reflects on the core values of the organization. A strategy need to gather, to make it successful, you need to gather inputs from across the organization. I mean, different, even if I work in the pharmacy, you need to ask different, the quality control, quality, assurance, the marketing, the sales, the other departments' point of view. I mean, to make sure that others who are surround you, how they are seeing you and your support to the organization. And to ensure at the same time alignment between the strategy and each department priorities. And another additional step, if you bring other departments and ask them for their opinions and their perception about your service, that could be another way to get more allies. I mean, allies who can advocate your support. Somebody might work on another department and would be asked from someone outside the hospital, do you recommend that I go to ask for the what I need from your hospital or not? If he's not happy with what we are offering, he might advise with something else. If he's happy, he will advocate our support, our services to other people. All strategy should be actionable, very clear. A good strategy focus on the desired and end result that will reach us to the goal as well. Here again, generate strategy. Very important that the conducting market by research, that's another way to get information about the potential and distribution of the hypertension market, customer perception, habits, our service, the level of providing the different qualities of medicine, preferences, and according to develop the most effective strategy that can, increase customer loyalty to our brand. What are the different types of strategies in a business? Here, different strategy, and we'll take the headlines of the companies that implement a business level strategy that focus on delivering value to the customer while positioning themselves within the value is the net benefit that the patient can take. So we call it the value added. Yeah, they aim to acquire and engage customer, gain competitive edge, and increase profit. This is another idea. If you feel that you are offering what others offer, so what will makes you distinguish and different? In that case, we call it value added. You offer inviting people to awareness seminar, sending them or giving them patient leaflet campaigns, anything else that makes your patients or your customer feel that you are, filling in some gaps or answering some queries for them. So this is what we call it the value added. and it adds a competitive edge to you over your competitor. Types of strategy include differentiation. You differentiate between your service, your product, between what you offer and the competitors offer. Focus differentiation. Cost leadership, that you decide that I will sell it in a lower price. That's another issue. Focused low cost, integrated low cost differentiation. In summary, choosing the business strategy depends on your goal and resources. What's suitable for your goals and what can support your goals and resources. To make an informed decision, consider your objective, value, mission, opportunities, and constraints. All the details, the helping and the hindering factors. A business plan defines course of action based on defined competitive strategy. Here, what we have just said. Here, what we have just said, add features or services to your product offering. If you feel you are in a balance with your competitor, whether it is a product or a service, so you can add more features or some additional services to make yourself more competitive than the competitor. When you create strategies, strategy addresses how to best leverage the positive driving success factors. How to neutralize, on the other hand, reducing resisting forces that block progress. So you work in two angles. Leverage is the positive that will drive the success. At the same time, reduce the impact of the resisting forces that might hinder the block. It's lying, having the scale. You know the scale, the balance between the positive and negative. Yeah. Identify how you will carry out the strategy. Utilizing brainstorming to involve the team. You remember that brainstorming, a very important tool that you can use. It's like having, instead of going for the secondary market research and asking the outsiders about their opinion about our services, why don't we get the opportunity to use our troops, internal troops? So you invite people, and then you will have one day brainstorming session, get all clear them from any stress factor. Start by asking them, I need your help, your answer. Be sincere as much as you can. Whatever you know, please raise it up. And the leader or the moderator has to consider that we need to inspire them, to encourage them to come up with their opinions without start judging or controlling, to avoid prohibiting people from continuing raising their point of view or their voice. So another help, make simple and clear statement that the summary that will help to seize an opportunity or defend against a weak aspect. That's very important. Be careful, don't get caught in the details of what specific actions will be taken. If you have your brainstorming session and then you have a list of very comprehensive issues, don't start to say we'll be able to handle this or not. So delay, your opinion, delay your reaction, and start collecting the information first. Encourage out of the box thinking, very important. And let people, I said, if you need to get new ideas, inspire them to get outside of the box and to leave their comfort zone, because comfort zone will not help people to come up with new ideas. So, and once they already encouraged to think outside of the box, they will leave their comfort zone and moving to learning zone, and then to the creation for new ideas. Use brainstorming to continue to promote creativity and strategy building. Yeah. So once again, I mean, that is the steps that we already follow. We said from moving from SWOT, critical success factor, and then objective, and then we go to the strategies. So we'll have a sample of private pharmacy. That one we already have been working on it. Imagine that you have the critical success factor here, and then you remember for the private pharmacy, we set two clear, smart goals. The first one, creating a developmental or the career development curriculum that will fulfill the unmet gaps that have been seen in a SWOT analysis. And we put here Q2 2022. Another objective, we said, creating a marketing campaign that will boost the sales volume and increase customer base to be created or to be finished or done at Q3 2022. And then the details of achieving needs to define which strategy we'll use to achieve this. So we'll have the strategy in green color. For the first one, provide a differentiation strategy to emphasize quality of the service over the cost. Here, we'll have very distinguished career development that makes even our organization has better edge than any other organization work on the same field. Creating a marketing campaign, and then we're having here a differentiation strategy to emphasize quality of the service over cost. I mean, once again, here the differentiation in what we will do versus the other organization already doing. Yeah. One more example for the government pharmacy. We said, you remember, we already have listed the critical success factor. We put the objective that's more or less similar to the previous one, career development curriculum that will fulfill the unmet gaps that have been seen in the SWOT analysis. And then we move here to the provide a continuous training and development that will successfully equip the working staff with the needed up-to-date knowledge and skills. Establish an agile culture that learns faster and communicate faster. So it's an agile culture. This what we will consider not only help in solving the current unmet gaps, but I mean getting or raising the organization performance into higher level, that we call it the agile culture. Yeah. Dr. Ahmed, I hope everybody is focused and concentrating with us. If there is any questions regarding what we have reached so far?
I don't see questions in the chat or Q&A for this point, but I believe people are focusing, and I'm following the model until we reach the last letter.
So great. I mean, I said that this is samples, and we will look forward, I mean, to see your own samples later on, or your own examples in any area you work on it. I mean, I think this it could be, I mean, something that add value to their organization. Yeah. So we consider, I think Dr. Muhammad يعني Muhammad Salama can agree with us is your desired objective is to make sure that they will be able, to practice what they will learn from this Cinfa Academy for an institution, and they will be back to practice it in a day-to-day practices and make their job easier, and more profitable, and make their service up to the customer expectations. Yeah.
Yes.
So now we can say, you remember, Dr. Ahmed, we said we spend too much time in the first one, which I consider the foundation. And everything else comes easier because we already have the information, and from the macro and the micro environmental analysis, we refine the critical success factors, initiated emission, and then we develop objectives. We generate strategies. That's very important. And now we came to when we already have, we said we will have the clustering, all the steps all together. And then we said objectives are coming from the critical success factors. Critical success factors, were taken from the macro and the micro environmental analysis. And once we have the objective, we said they are the what, and now we go how we will work out the what, which is the strategy, and we made the strategy, and then we will go back again to the micro how, all the fine details of the strategy that will help us do what we call it a roadmap, very clear roadmap for execution. This is what we call the tactical plan or the tactics. For the tactics, we said engage it with tactics. Tactics are actions. That's why I put tactics / BOA, plan of action, or tools an organization takes to carry out the strategy towards achieve the company objectives. And strategies and the tactics must work together, because strategies is the how, for the tactics, how the tactics will be applied. On the other hand, on the other word, organization need both big wings and the strategies and feet the tactics. You can have this analogy. The strategies are the wings, and the feet for the plane, or it's the tactics. So you can't ignore or omit any of them. So strategies will take the whole plane to the place that we would love to arrive, and the feet will make it stand on a solid foundation. Yeah. So that analogy, I hope it make it more clear to every one of us here.
Yes, we cannot fly without both of them. Yeah.
Exactly. So we cannot fly without the wings, and we cannot arrive without having the feet or the legs. Yeah. Tactics are much more concrete and are forced by similar steps, actions, and a shorter time frame along the way. It is characterized by, you will say, what you would like to achieve, when, who will do it, to whom will be delivered, and so on. And what type of expected return on investment as well. So you can mention it. For instance, to re-emphasize about the importance of tactics, you said your objective. Now you would like to go to Dubai. So the strategy, you will go to the airport. That is the how. And the tactic on a specific, what you will do, you will go and take to the airplane. That's, I mean, very important analogy. What makes a good tactics again? Good tactic has a clear purpose that aids our strategy. And we said again, the strategy, the wings, and the tactics are the feeds. Has a definite timeline. Again, Dr. Agazi, the timeline is very important. Sometimes we call it dead times or deadlines. You can't allow the time flies without achieving these steps. During which specific activities will be completed and their impacts measured.
Otherwise, we will be dead.
That's true, because I mean, when you ask people to make objective, they start looking reluctant, because even when you ask the medical rep or anybody has a specific task, let's define what you will do. Then you will start thinking about, if I say everything clear, then I will be committed to achieve it. Then if I don't achieve it, that will make me accountable. Here we speak about those who are not accustomed to work by objective. But those who work by objective, they love to start the year by asking themselves, what else can I do this year instead or different than the last year? That's the brainstorming and the mindset, changing. Thinking about the new year, for instance, if we go 2 years or 3 years ago and ask somebody, wouldn't you expect to have the endemic disease like the COVID-19? No one would expect that. So it's the idea is to work earlier in a proactive manner to make sure if you can anticipate as much as you can things that will happen, definite. This will make your expectations more reliable, can be achieved. I think, Dr. Ahmed, you agree with me? That's the very important step, having the timeline and everything. And we consider later on the tactical plans. It is a roadmap. It is your GPS for work activity. In any place else, you can't go without having your GPS to steer out and to drive your journey easily and successfully. So strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. However, tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. That's, the Sun Tzu, the person who made what we call it, the war, example. That's very important. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. And no one needs to have the slowest route, of course, because if you go for this scenario, your competitors will be faster than you. And now we are on a marathon. Who will have the speed approach will achieve the final result. Tactics without strategy, it's like you don't have GPS. So it's the noise before defeat, because you don't have the broad directions that you will use to achieve success. For Sun Tzu, they already have what we call it Kaizen. I don't know if you have heard about Kaizen or not. Kaizen, simply, it's a book that speaks about how to establish a continuous improvement process wherever you go. I mean, continuous improvement process. So everybody is seeking how to challenge the status quo and set the new initiatives, the new deliverables to make you more successful in the future. So we'll have a typical example here for the, you remember, we already have, I'm clustering in a cumulative approach what we have done to make sure the steps are there always, I mean, in front of our eyes. I mean. So critical success factors, objectives, you remember the same slide, I mean, strategies, and then we go to our GPS or tactics or roadmap. So let's have the roadmap for instance, provide a different strategy to emphasize the quality of service and where over the cost. This is for creating the career development curriculum. Let's go how we will create this career development. This is the specific details. For instance, contracting, if it goes for the private pharmacy, contracting a training provider. Let's say during Q1 2022. And the second issue, provides training on the unmet gaps, interpersonal skills for assisting staff. And here we have to mention for whom, for assisting staff, who will do it, the training provider, when will be Q3 2022. So all the icons, all the dimensions of the tactics are there. Another point is induction training, creating induction training for newly hired staff, and this will be immediately after hiring. You cannot, I mean, make them eligible to go to the work before having the weapons for this work. I mean, so you can send a soldier to the war without having their weapons. So very important to remember this. Their weapons are knowledge, skills, and knowledge are power. So people are empowered to deliver their best when they have the knowledge. If they don't have it, of course, they will comply to what's requested from them, but achieving the level of success, it could be a hard and a tough issue for them. This could happen, we said, after hiring immediately, creating a set of KPIs to make sure, to monitor, to ensure successful execution of the learned skills. And this will be, I mean, created Q3 2022. I hope the idea is there to having objective. This is what, how we will do it. This is how the strategy. And then we go for the tactics, the micro hows in specific details, different steps, action steps, how we will do it, who will do it, when we will do it, to whom will be delivered, and if we can even, I mean, recognize what could be the expected return on investment, that will be great. The idea, if you think about the return on investment, you will have to be very, very keen about delivering the best, I mean, action in this step. For instance, for the second objective, which was creating a marketing campaign that will boost the sales volume and increase the customer base. And we decided here to take the differentiation strategy. And then for the tactics, we need to remember here creating a marketing campaign that will promote the pharmacy value-added services. Here we'll check what will make, I mean, the pharmacy providing better service than other pharmacies who are delivering the same services. So we'll have it here. Also create a hotline for the patient consultation. This is another value added. You remember when you said you can add some feature or service to your services. You can have a hotline to help people have an answer for their inquiries. This could be, I mean, initiated at Q4 2022. This is a typical example for the, we said, for the private pharmacy. Let's have another example for the government. You remember what we said about the objective, and then we said about the strategies, and then here we come to the tactics. Here I would say for a government pharmacy, you would start by hiring a skillful trainer. You will have your own training support, and then this would happen in Q1 2022. Then design, the skillful trainer will be in a mission to design the training curriculum. This will be finished 1 quarter later, I mean Q2 2022, and then provide the training on communication skills, and then interpersonal skills for assisting staff, induction training for newly joined staff. We said this would happen after the hiring date immediately, offering like what we are doing now, offering the needed skills like business planning skills, and then creating a set of KPIs. I mean, here even you can create it for yourself. I learned business planning, I learned pharmacoeconomics, and then I need to practice, and then you start having your own exercise, and then you will use our support to give you our reflective feedback, and then you will have your own, and then you will put for the execution KPIs. How can you assess the progress of your plan for you and your co-working colleagues, I mean, in the same department? Then you can have what we call it a full process that you guarantee its success. Yeah. Dr. Ahmed, I hope the idea is now is much clear.
Yeah, I can see, these tables beside each other. So it's in my mind started to be more organized.
Yeah.
And I'm linking these two questions: what and how, strategy, while tactics, that's the GPS. So it's I believe that I connecting the dots.
That does make sense. I mean, for every one of us. I guess that's enough for today. I mean, that's we have taken a chunk of knowledge, skills, and all what I urge you, I mean, is to try to have your own exercise. You can do it if we have more than one colleague in the same department, preferably to work together and to put, I mean, the basis for this SWOT analysis. And then you come up with your critical success factor, and from critical success factor, you said these are the unmet gaps. Then you filter it to have the most impactful ones, and then you decide how can we treat this impactful one. Then you are requested to create your own objectives, and these objectives make sure that these objectives are smarter enough. And from this objective, you decide how we'll work it out. And then you said what type of strategy we will use. And then we reach to the final step, where, I mean, to the more important step, which is the tactical plan. As we said, this is your coming, forthcoming GPS, or what we call it, the roadmap. So you can say we have the detailed action plan or tactical plan that will ask you, I mean, which action you need to apply, who will deliver this action, to whom will be delivered, when you will deliver it, and even you can add one more. We said, what is the expected return on investment? Then once you have this and you put all the who, to whom, when, and the what, all the details and the ROI, then now you are committed to achieve this. If you take it for the execution and then tomorrow you are exceeding and successfully applying this, then make sure what you look for as objectives will be there, I'm sure.
Thank
Doctor,
you for
any
connecting
questions?
the dots.
You are welcome, and once again, I urge everyone, I mean, to put in their mind that training has not taken place until behavior had changed. And here we mean the mindset shift. I mean, you decide now, I'm doing my work in a very nice, productive way. I'm receiving the appreciation of my superior. But how about if I go back and make this exercise and go back to my superior and tell them, now we have learned from Cinfa Academy something new, and we already are practicing this, and this our proposal for the development, for the Kaizen, I mean, the continuous improvement in what we are providing. That will be great. That will, I mean, receive the appreciation of your superior, and you will feel that you are adding value to what you are doing every year. Dr. Ahmed, is there anything we can add or any question that we can answer this session?
I don't see any questions, but please, guys, you have the option to ask. I see here a question from Dr. Bushra. Thank you, Doctor. Setting the objectives and working them is very important, as you mentioned, and the strategy also. So, thanking, I believe, having the objectives and having the strategy, we cannot do without them and go to tactics while we don't know that we have to go to the airport, for example. Yeah. So they are all built on each other.
Yeah, it is. It is. They are integrated to each other, and that's again, that is a bridge. I mean, that's the bridge, and you can't achieve it without having, I mean, integrating all the steps together. Yeah. That's a very good comment. Yeah.
Okay. Any question? If you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. You can ask directly. So I will give you the chance to talk, or you can ask in the chat or the Q&A, whatever, all the ways that you like. Okay, I don't see any questions. So is there something like more or something specific assignment or something that you would like to add or highlight, Dr. Samir?
That's very important. That's what I'm really digging into to make sure that they will have their own exercise. I mean, once they will have their own exercise, I can help them. I mean, to have at the end of the next session, to have a PowerPoint presentation that will have summary to the working sheet. I mean, that's very important. Starting by having a sheet, a SWOT sheet, and then the critical success factor, and then moving to the objectives and strategy and so on, and the tactical plans. This is we can put it in some PowerPoint slides that will help people, I mean, to go and exactly doing it. Yeah. Okay. That's an idea to facilitate their work. But I don't want anybody to delay applying the project or to practice their insights for improving the performance of their department until we have these slides, because the slides can be taken out from simply, I mean, the presentation that I will send it to, but as I'm creating new modifying examples to make sure what we are saying and raising are reflecting to their own work area, while I will leave other examples on the same presentation. Yeah. So the final piece is of advice is please start having your exercise. If you will do it as early as you can, definitely the outcome that you will reach it will be better than not to start. I mean, and this will be subjected for the fine-tuning by sending any proposal can be sent to Dr. Ahmed or Dr. Salama to be sent to me, or Dr. Ahmed, you can send them my email, so you can then send it to you, me, and Dr. Salama, and I will respond immediately, because this is part of our role, not only, I mean, facilitating the session, but also helping people doing a better job after or during this session.
So this is, I believe, the most important part, which is the implementation.
Yeah.
Again, if you will not do it, you will lose it.
Yeah.
And I hope that by next session, we can have one or two of the participants have like a draft that even they can share, they can discuss. So it will be a discussion. Everyone will learn.
Excellent.
What we can put as a model or as an example. Please, guys, if you can prepare something that you would like to share with us, you are welcomed.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing this idea, and I look forward to have some samples of our colleagues for sharing and for, I mean, interaction and discussions. So we'll come up with additional insights.
Okay, that's perfect. So I urge everyone, if you prepare something, please send it to us. Ideally, like 2 days before the next session, like by Monday. So either Dr. Samir can have a comment on this, add it to his presentation, give you comments, and then you amend or improve, and then you can present it and help and share with the others on next Wednesday, inshallah. So please, I learned a lot from doing a lot of events and trainings when I participated actively and I did my assignment. It stayed in my mind. And I believed that this is something really I learned and I implemented. While just attending a training session, and nice to add to my CV, and nice to have credit hours, which is okay. But again, we need to make something to implement to help us in making a shift in our mindset for better and for improvement and for evolution.
Exactly. Yeah, and the real credit is what we will take home. I mean, take home messages and the tips and the learning principles. This is what help every one of us.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Samir. We really appreciate your interesting presentation and session and your way of delivering. And I would like to repeat what I mentioned in the beginning of the session today about credit hours and CME, because probably some of you didn't join from the beginning. So before the session, what I mentioned is the course is accredited. This business planning is 8 credit hours. from a UK big accreditation body. It's called the CPD group. In your certificate, you will receive the logo and the reference number for this certification. You can apply this certificate to your local, like Saudi Commission or whatever your country, so you can ask for credit hours that you can use this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening, for interaction, and wish you all the best and very good night to everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samir. Thank you so much to all the attendees, and see you next week, inshallah. And a big thank you to Cinfa team for sponsoring and supporting and having this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.